like your jokes.
Well, they got jokes. I mean, Frankie definitely gets jokes. You're gonna meet Frankie. She's finishing up some research, but she's gonna move here, and I think we're getting an apartment together.
Oh, yeah? Where in, like, Fort Greene or Bed-Stuy?
I know it's hard to imagine leaving Tribeca. It's very convenient.
You know, the thing about your friends, they weren't assholes, were they?
No, not at all.
See, that's the problem. Our people are assholes. Our mums are assholes.
You think my mom's an asshole?
Yeah. She's too successful not to be.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Girls. We're just two boys who have watched all of HBO's Girls. We're your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I'm Vance.
And today we're taking it way, way back, way even before Girls. We got the prequel to Girls that we're talking about today. This is where everything started for Lena Dunham, I would say. Right? I mean, she's had sketches before this and stuff in college, I assume.
Yeah, I think she made another one before this, I believe. Yeah.
This was kind of her break, though.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, today we are talking about her film, Tiny Furniture, which is the film that kind of propelled her into a bit of a spotlight that got her meetings with HBO and assuming other places as well to pitch Girls. And that's how it all kind of came together. So we went and we decided to take a look at Tiny Furniture and see if there were influences from that we could see from Girls. Obviously, there's some of the same actors in this, which was fun. Yeah, and boy, I didn't like this movie, Vance.
There are influences galore. Like, there are so many, like, oh, yeah, okay, all right, I see that. Yep, for Girls. So, yeah, definitely, Girls is definitely different, and he definitely took some stuff from here. The Ray characters here, the Jessica characters, the same actors. The characters aren't the same. Well, Charlotte and Jessa are kind of the same in this.
Yeah.
The Ray character first season is basically this guy, almost.
Yeah.
First two seasons, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is like if Ray turned heel. Like, it's all of the kind of same traits as Ray, but it's like he just decided to be a bad guy.
Yeah, it's like if you put Ray and you got Ray just for like 30 minutes in a feature film versus, over the course of 6 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this, and I know we're just going to hop around, but I kind of like this version of Jessa, even though it's Charlotte, but Jemima Kirk's. I kind of like this version better.
Yeah? Why is that?
I don't know. It just seemed like she had this interesting self-awareness, but also, I mean, the vulnerability was there, and the like, oh my God, I'm about to, like, desperation for friendship and loneliness, like abandonment issues were like 100% there. She was terrified to be left alone. But yeah.
I wonder if like they went to NYU together or something. I wonder where they found Alex Karpovsky and Jemima Kirk. Like, were they friends with Lena Dunham previously, or?
I think their parents, because so the actress playing the mom is actually Lena Dunham's mom, and it's
Laurie Simmons.
Yeah, that's their actual mom, and
her
and
Grace Dunham is in it.
Yeah, and she's good. Grace Dunham's good in this, and I'm surprised she doesn't do more acting stuff. Like, she only kind of does stuff with her mom and her sister.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I thought that Grace Dunham's character was like really realistic. Like, she had some genuine reactions that I was like, I'd see that in real life, where she's just kind of flabbergasted at some points, and it's like an honest flabbergation.
Yeah. Like, I just loved her laughing after Hannah, full disclosure, we're going to call these characters by their girls' characters' names a lot during this, probably.
We're going to get a little confused.
We're going to call Aura Hannah. We're going to call Charlotte Jessa. We're going to call Jed Ray. Like, that's going to happen. But when Aura's basically like having that temper tantrum with her mom, and her sister comes in and just starts laughing at her. That's such a sibling thing to do when you watch a sibling freak out.
I thought that was so good.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a genuine reaction.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And then the mom being like, no. She's like, no, it's not funny. It's just, I can't help laughing. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, I didn't know that that was their mom, Laurie Simmons. I had no idea.
I did not know until about 20 minutes ago when I hit IMDb. Because my commentary was like, I was like, oh, I'm really happy they cast who they cast as the mom in Girls, because I felt like she was a stronger actor, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I like the mom actor in this movie, and then I'm like, oh, she's not really an actor, you know?
Oh, okay.
She is like an artist. She is an artist that does these tiny furniture stuff, and like a lot of like, she's a famous artist.
Oh, that's real, like as in real life. Yeah. Laurie Simmons does tiny furniture.
Yeah. Yeah, like I did not know that going into the movie.
All right, well, let's do a little like mini plot synopsis of what's going on in this movie before we get too derailed and start jumping all around. So Aura, aka Lena Dunham, comes home from college after just being dumped. She just graduated, and she's having a hard time adjusting to life at home. She's back to living with her mom and her sister. And the mom, I think that it's hinted that she got like really anal about cleanliness and I'm not quite sure, like, not really cleanliness, but she's anal about certain things. She's very particular about how she wants her home to be and who can come over and how it's set up, etc. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I don't know if it was any more than any parent will want their house to be set up. Yeah. Like, I don't know if it was like exaggerated anyway, but sure.
So Lena Dunham's Aura, Laurie Simmons is Siri, who is the mom. Nadine, who is Aura's sister, is Grace Dunham, which is Lena Dunham's actual sister. And so Aura goes to a party where she catches up with Charlotte, who is Jessa, aka Jemima Kirk. And she's brought there by her friend Frankie, who is not a person that was in Girls. The actress name is Merritt Weaver or Wever.
No, Frankie's not there. Frankie's the one that's supposed to come.
I thought the Frankie's who invited her to the party. I thought Frankie was
Frankie's the one that's moving to New York.
So who's party?
Merritt Weaver's the one that's on the phone, and she's like, "Oh, you didn't." Yeah.
No, well,
she's not even in. She doesn't even show up to the art festival at the end. The art show at the end.
Okay, well, she goes to the party with some rando who invited Aura to the party, where she meets Jed, who is a YouTuber, a very pretentious YouTuber, and that is Ray, aka Alex Karpovsky. And then Aura basically allows him to stay at their studio apartment while the mom and the sister are
it's not
off
a studio apartment.
Well, yeah, it's a studio / apartment.
It's a very nice
yeah
place in New York, and she has a basement studio there too.
Yeah. I fucked up that. I fucked that up. Studio / apartment. It's 2 stories. It's not a studio apartment.
No, it's a real if you don't live in those cities, like that place seems like nice but kind of small. But like that's a very expensive place in New York.
Oh yeah, and it's in Tribeca.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah. So he's basically like crashing at Aura's place, and then Aura gets a job at a restaurant where she's like flirty with the chef, whose name is Keith, who is another person that wasn't in Girls. His name is David Call in real life. They kind of have like a flirty thing. I'm kind of losing it now. Can you take over, Vance?
I literally just watched you flounder. I was just gonna wait. I just wanted to see how long.
I'm not quite sure what
No, she goes. She's out of college. She's had a breakup. She doesn't really know what she's gonna do. She makes she has like one weird like video piece of her in a fountain drinking and shit,
Yeah.
brushing her teeth in a fountain while she's in like just
A
her
bikini.
underwear, like
Yeah.
a bra and panties or something. And no, she gets a job. Her friend Charlotte, right? Is that Jemima Kirk's character? Charlotte says, "Oh, I do some work at this restaurant. They'll hire you. Just say you know me." And she gets hired for $11 an hour as a day hostess, and they're not open during the day. So basically, she just answers the phone and takes reservations.
I never heard of this job before.
I mean, I don't know I'm sure that job exists. I mean, restaurants don't open until like 4, and you call at any time to make a reservation. I mean, I don't know if it would be called a hostess, but I'm sure. Whatever. I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
So she gets this job, and yeah, she has this flirtation with this chef who doesn't seem great. And at the same time, she's thinking that she's dating Jed, who's staying with her, but showing no sexual interest in her. And just basically has like weaseled his way in. And it's just like a mooch squatter. Like just taking advantage.
See, I don't think that she thought that she was dating Jed.
She kept saying she was dating Jed. She said, I have a boyfriend.
Here's the thing the scene where she says that, and I only saw it happen once, is when the chef says that he has a girlfriend, and then she's like, "Oh, well, I'm dating somebody too." And I thought that was kind of like a one-upper type of like, "Oh, I'm not interested in you" type of deal. That's what I took it as. I don't think that she has any illusions about her dating Jed.
I think she kind of thought, I don't know. It is a weird one. It's amazing. Like, Lena Dunham just can't get Ray to get it. She just can't get Ray to fall for her. Girls are this. And then
so like Jed and Aura and Charlotte drink a bunch of the wine that the mom has, and the mom comes home and she's pissed. She's like, there's only so much wine left, and blah blah blah. And then Aura has a hissy fit, and she's like, "You don't realize how hard this has been for me, and I'm home from college."
That scene where she's like throwing the stuff off all the papers and stuff off, and she's like kind of raging out. It was the most like film rage ever. It was like so slow where she's shoving all these papers off as if like, oh my God, I don't want to make it too messy in case we have to reset and do it again. Like it was like one of those like she's not like just going, she's just, it's very like controlled and forced. And it might also be because she's faking this whole tantrum as a way to like manipulate her mom, which is something from Girls that gets brought up, because Ray's like, "Hey, can you talk to your mom and make this happen?" And she's like, "All right." And then she does this like extreme play to like have this hissy fit to get her mom to agree to let this guy stay. Which was like the perfect excuse for me. That was like the perfect excuse to have him leave. You know,
right?
Like, "Hey, my mom's back. You gotta go." Like, but Ray's manipulative too. So
Jed's trying to see if he can stay, and Lena Dunham is trying to convince her mom. Aura is trying to convince her mom to let him stay, and the mom is not for it, but eventually she convinces her. And then Jed's staying there, and then the mom eventually kicks him out, I guess. I don't know what really happens in between then. She sees him in the laundry room, and he slept on her bed, and blah, blah, blah. And then fucking Jed guilt trips Aura super hard about like, "Well, you shouldn't have said that I could stay here if you couldn't deliver." I was like, wow, dude. Like everybody in this movie is the worst.
Yeah. And I wanted to commend Lena Dunham for like, she doesn't try to make herself look good. And he's like, chill. There's no like, oh, she did something horrible, but then there's this like amazing, well, I told you I might have did this horrible thing, but I'm still like right. You know, it's never, it's just like, this is raw. This is who I am. And take it or leave it. That's it. Like, you make your own decision. She doesn't shape the way you should think about her. Like, you look at this and you're like, that girl's a mess. And you're like, okay. Or you could be like, I really relate to that girl. You know, like, she doesn't try to, like, manipulate you into feeling like she's absolutely 100% right, you know?
Yeah. I was just like, we're going to have to do likability rankings for this. Cause,
oh my God, yeah.
Because I don't know, man. Like, I have to commend Lena Dunham for making everyone in this movie horrible. Like, just the worst. Like,
yeah.
So after fucking Jed gets kicked out, you never see Jed again. That's him. That's his story.
Yeah. So, we can touch some more on Jed later, but yeah.
Yeah. So this is around when Aura finds out that Keith, the chef, has a girlfriend, and it seems like he's only interested in her because he wants to get pills from her, because Charlotte is able to get the hookup for pills. And they plan to meet up after work or something, and he stands her up, and then the next day he kind of acts like nothing happened. Yeah. Which I thought was like, what?
Did you notice the mix up of, he was like, oh, can you get Vicodin for me? And then when she was talking to Jemima Kirk, she's like, oh, can I get some Xanax?
Yeah, I did notice that.
And I was
then Jemima Kirk was like, let's surprise him and get him some Oxy. And I was like, didn't he not want either of those?
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, wait, is she going to show up with Xanax? And he's going to be like, oh, crap. But that never actually becomes an issue.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So then the next day at the job, fucking Keith, he acts like nothing happened and that he didn't stand her up. And he's basically just like, fucking sorry. I had shit happened with my girlfriend or whatever. Couldn't make it. And then that's when Aura just quits the job out of nowhere. And then that night, Nadine, her sister, has a party that wasn't supposed to be a party. And for some reason, Aura's pissed off about it.
Yeah, I had the same feeling of like, why is she so mad about this party?
Yeah, I don't know.
It didn't seem, it wasn't like she was studying for anything or she had to get up early for her job that she just quit. Like, there was no reason for her to be.
Yeah, unless it was like, unless we didn't see a scene where her mom was like, hey, look after Nadine or whatever.
What time was this party that the mom was coming back at 1 and the whole place was going to be cleaned up?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know. So Aura's pissed off at Nadine, so she calls Charlotte to help her break up the party, but Charlotte only makes it worse. And she's like, this music, it's not that it's too loud, it's that I can't really move. And then she's giving high schoolers lap dances and stuff. And she's like, if you get a boner, I'll fucking kill you. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah, and then the what is happening doubles down when Aura walks out with no pants on, as she's been most of the movie, through the kitchen, and you're just like, what are you doing? Like, what is
what's
happening?
The strategy here? She doesn't have pants on, and Charlotte is in like a nightie or something that you can see through and see her boobs, basically, and all the high school boys are like,
Yeah.
And then they have a confrontation in the kitchen with Aura and Nadine, and then she's hitting her with a fucking like a wooden spoon. Like a ladle or something. Yeah, wooden spoon, and it is the weakest little tiny taps. Like, this coupled with her quote unquote rage with throwing all this stuff off the desk.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching it and was like, how weak is Lena Dunham?
Dude, this is like when Desi broke through the window and she was hitting him with the spatula or something.
Yeah,
in, that episode, I forget which one that was, when they go to like, I don't know, Poughkeepsie, Montauk or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, you gotta commit and actually hit these people, dude. Like, it looked so goofy.
That whole scene, I was like, I really liked Grace Dunham's performance in it, but I also, during that whole scene, I'm like, why are we having this argument? Like, it felt like, oh, this is the point in the movie where you need to have this argumentative scene, the spin-off, but like, the party didn't affect her at all, and it seems like she wanted to be prove that she was responsible to her mom, but I
have no clue.
Charlotte's been Aura's been in college for the last 4 years, we assume, right, in Ohio or whatever, and you would think You would think that the mom would be used to doing stuff without her daughter being around since she just came back. But she's back and it's like, oh, you didn't take out the trash. And I had to take out the trash. I have a bad back. And I'm like, what was happening before?
Right? She's been gone for 4 years now. She's like, oh, you didn't take out the trash. Nobody was here to rub my back. I was like, who's been rubbing your back previously?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So after the party, like the mom gets home and apparently everything was cleaned up. There was no evidence of a party because Aura comes into her mom's room and is like, were there any kids here when you arrived? And she's like, no. It's like, did Aura also just go to sleep without like cleaning up anything? Like, what is the timeline of this party?
Yeah, like, yeah, where did she go? Did she leave?
Yeah, that's what I was like,
Yeah.
what happened here?
Yeah.
Like, how did Aura not know that her mom came home? Like, did she just go to sleep?
Maybe she went to sleep during, I don't know. Yeah, that was all just really confusing to me.
Yeah. So,
I think we skipped over that Aura found her mom's
her journals, yes.
Journals, yeah.
Yeah, and she's been reading them throughout the movie for no reason why.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to play a bigger role in it, but it didn't seem like it.
We also skipped over, which is my bad, that Aura had a pet hamster and it died. And then she stuck it in the freezer.
I love when she brings it out to show it to Jed. And she's like,
that was like my favorite scene.
It's like, oh, it's sleeping in its food bowl. Look, it's so cute. And he's like, this creature is no longer with us. And she's like, no, he's just sleeping. And he's like, see how you're poking it? Like, and it's not moving.
Yeah. And she's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then like her solution is to put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer.
Yeah.
Which was so disgusting to me.
Unnecessary. I mean, fine. You want to put it in a freezer and then like bury it somewhere, but you're in New York City. I don't know where you're gonna bury it. And gonna go to Central Park or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then that end when she throws it in the trash didn't have that. It didn't have that weight that I thought. It wasn't like, yeah, she's finally figured things out. She threw away because I thought she had a pet rat before it was a hamster.
They were basically the same.
So one people find more cute than others. Yeah.
Yeah. And so through all of this, she's been talking to her friend Frankie, who is she's supposed to move in with, and then eventually she calls her on a flip phone, which is nice to see. She calls her and she's like, hey, I feel like I can't move in. My mom needs me and she's got a bad back and she needs me to help take care of the studio and the house and blah, blah, blah. And then Frankie's like, we're supposed to move in like tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah, and that Frankie's played by Merritt Weaver, who's been in Walking Dead and New Girl. Yeah. It was interesting. I was like, oh yeah, I know that actress. It was weird because when Aura's talking about having to take care of her mom, it seemed like, oh, that was a straight up excuse for not wanting to move out. But then the stuff that happens later seems like the mom is in need of someone to help,
Yeah.
So I wasn't 100% sure if that.
I don't know how healthy the mom is and what because she already has an assistant.
Yeah, she has an assistant. She has another daughter that's there.
Yeah. I guess because the other daughter is going to college soon, that she's like, maybe Aura could replace Nadine and with like all the help that she's been giving the mom.
Yeah, but I don't even seem like the mom is like angling that way. Like when she shows up, when Aura shows up, it's not like, oh my God, my daughter's back home. It's like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then there's this weird thing where like Aura's YouTube video that got like 400 views or something.
Mm-hmm.
They put it in a art curation thing.
Yeah,
that,
I've seen stuff like that in New York, like those video art installations. It's kind of just like random stuff playing on a TV or a screen while you're at a just an art gallery opening, or somebody just put together. Someone knew a bunch of artists. They rented out a space. They hung some stuff up. People come, mingle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So,
and that's Charlotte's doing. So she's actually got her a job and got her art.
Yeah, I was going to say Charlotte asked her like curator friend to put Aura's video in there, and she did. So they go to the gallery where then fucking Frankie shows up, and she's kind of like, so like, what's the deal, dude?
Yeah.
And for some reason, Charlotte has beef with Frankie apparently, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Charlotte just has like jealousy. This is my friend. No other friend can take you. And that was the thing that I thought explained Girls' ending better, you know? Like, whereas like, oh, it's all about like Hannah and Jessa being friends and not so much Marnie, you know? Because this is where that seed is. But when you watch Girls, it starts out with Hannah and Marnie together. So you're like, oh, those are the major friends. But because Hannah and Jemima Kirk were like probably actual friends for this long, there's an extra layer of the ending of Girls, of them splitting up, and like this is the end of their film journey together and them being friends, and it's kind of a callback to this. So I'm like, okay, I can get that as a thing. Yeah.
So also at this art installation gallery thing, Keith, the chef, shows up. And so Aura, in order to avoid the confrontation with Frankie, is like, deuces, peace, I'm going to go hang out with this fucking chef guy that stood me up.
Well,
and
what is she? Well, she says, I think Frankie's like, oh, do you want to get out of here so we can actually talk? Because we haven't talked since she did this thing. And she's like, oh, I can't. And then the guy shows up. Yeah.
So then they're talking and start hanging out, and then Aura is basically like, you want to get out of here, to Keith, and they start smoking weed in the street. And there's this like thing where Jemima Kirk tells her that like, if you'll know that he's interested if you just grab his cock like randomly or something.
Well, she gave her the same advice Jessa gives Shoshana about the soup guy in Girls. Yeah. It's to just be spontaneous. And that's what guys want. Do something overtly sexual spontaneously, and guys will like that. Charlotte's story of why she has that mindset is a little disturbing in this one, because it's based off of a guy that just grabbed her.
Like sexually assaulted her, basically.
Yeah, and then she felt bad about it for a long time. And then the way she coped with it was to be like, oh, yeah, that's what spontaneity is. That's a good thing. And it's like, whew, that might need some that might need some unpacking and like a some,
therapy session or something.
But no, I mean it's not a invalid way for someone to like cope with something. So it explains the character. It's something like, there was something about that with the Charlotte character that I liked, and I especially liked later. And this is jumping ahead, but when the mom comes in and she sees Charlotte, she's like, "Are you just as like what did she say? Are you just as?"
It was something like uncivilized, basically.
No, it was like, "Are you just as spoiled?" or something.
Oh, like entitled.
She's like, oh, even more so. And when she says, when she tells Aura that her mom's an asshole, and she's like, "You think my mom's an asshole?" And she's like, "Your mom's too successful to not be an asshole." Like stuff like that was like really, you could see the seeds of Jessa. And I guess in this like movie where I didn't really like Charlotte when she first came on screen, I was like, oh man, that's a lot of energy. But I could see being intrigued by that character, like when you're watching a movie, because they're so all over the place. And I thought she became more grounded as the movie went on, where she was still all over the place, but still like weird.
Yeah, she kind of has a little bit of manic pixie dream girl vibes to her.
100%, yeah.
What I did love about In Girls and in this also is when the girls do go for the strategy of like just be spontaneous and like grab his dick or like say something really, really dirty, like it doesn't work necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like with Scott, it definitely didn't work in Girls with Shoshana when she did it with the soup guy. In this, Hannah just goes to grab Keith's dick, like just straight up, like they're sitting on the side of the street. And she just like starts to put her hand between his legs.
Yeah, I mean, like, this one wasn't as egregious. Like, she's kind of like, that's the slow hand move. I mean, it wasn't what she did to Ray in the coffee truck or anything, you know? Like,
yeah. Here's the thing is like, it just came out of nowhere that if we were just like, if I was sitting on the street with a girl and she just did that and looking at it as we were looking at it from like the film perspective, it looked so awkward and uncomfortable and unnatural.
It was just, it's one of those like weird, like they're just outside on the street smoking weed, which it's a thing that happens in New York. There's so many weird little corners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think the issue stems more from like their relationship started out like this really interesting, like rom-com, like not rom-com, but like you get two romantic leads in a movie, like having bonding over stuff a little bit. And then once he starts asking for pills desperately, you're like, there's so many red flags for the guys that like Aura's after, like, because she did want to sleep with Jed, she did want to sleep with Keith, and yeah, it's just like, why these guys are awful, and there's no other like, it's not like there's another guy in the mix that's like, oh, why is she not choosing him? You know, like it's... Yeah,
there's no good guy
in
this.
Her options are awful throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after she goes to like grab his crotch, Keith is like, we probably shouldn't. I got a girlfriend. Like, even though like we're kind of on the rocks right now, like we shouldn't do that. And she's like, oh, okay, sure. And so immediately after that, they just start passionately making out on the street, and he's like slipping all over the place with his boots, and it was pissing me off.
And her,
like, it's like, why are you?
Her head's almost hitting the thing. Like it's the perfect seed of like the awkward. I mean, this sets up all the awkward sex scenes and hookups that you're gonna see in Girls.
Yeah, perfectly. And it's like she says "ow" at one point. It sounded like she kind of like banged her head on the ground or something. Like it perfectly encapsulates that thing of like, you want to have those passionate, like, love-making scenes, like, in movies. But when you try that shit out in real life, it's so unsexy, and it doesn't work out the way that you play. Like, when you're like, oh, I'm going to, you know, like, we're going to kiss up against the door. I'm going to slam her into the door and stuff. It's going to be so passionate. Then you do it, and then like, the girl gets a concussion. Yeah.
That scene that happens where they just bust in the door, making out wildly, rolling around.
Yeah, you try and do that. Try and do that in real life. You wouldn't be able to get in. You can't locate your keys and the keyhole.
You step on your cat, you trip over the chair.
So they're making out in the street, and then Keith is like, let's go somewhere else. And she's like, oh, okay. So instead of like...
Where did you think they were going to go?
I had no idea.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, I had kind of checked out of the movie because I was like really just not liking it at all. And where they went to some like dump site, like construction dump or something. And they went into this like weird... Aura describes it as a pipe, but I don't think this is a pipe.
It's I don't know how. It's an aluminum
cylinder.
An aluminum cylinder, like an oversized one that you would make for like a duct system, like for air conditioning. But like, they're never that big. They're not like what you get in Die Hard. You're not climbing through air ducts. Like, no one's making air ducts human size. It's just to shove air through. But I don't know what it's for, but it's just like this piece of aluminum sheet that's rolled up, and it's so weird that they go into it.
Yeah. When they went into it, I was like, why would you go in there?
Yeah, like it's not like closed off on either end.
Yeah.
It makes a ton of noise.
Yeah. It's like bouncing around when they're having sex in there. Oh, by the way, they fuck inside this pipe.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, Keith is a 2-pump chump here, dude.
Well, this is that again. It's just one of but it's one of those movie things too, where they're like,
I know,
yeah,
I know
Yeah.
they can't have like a full on like sex scene, but he fucking.
I did not need this movie to be an extra 10 minutes because of
yeah, and this sex scene is like graphic. It's not graphic as in like you see anything that's happening, but
well, he does the Brokeback move, the spin on the hand,
yeah,
lube up.
Yeah, which I was like, even though you don't see them like actually having sex, him spitting on his hand and like, it was just gross.
And I mean, when they were like making out and like, she starts to blow him and like in the awkward position where it's like, kind of like his knees. Like I was like, what is that? Like,
right, dude. Like this pipe is not big enough for them to do this in.
Yeah, because they're like wall to wall, like they're sideways, and until they flip to like where he's behind her, they're not long ways on the pipe; they're widthwise on the pipe, and it's just like, and just knowing New York and having your winter coat on and all that stuff, it's so...
it's terrible, dude.
Yeah, but it happens.
Yep. What? Like, why couldn't they have gone to like a bar bathroom or something?
Why couldn't they have just gone behind anything in the construction site?
Yeah, I mean,
like, or something that wouldn't make the sound of thunder when you were looking up at it. Like it's just like
yeah,
it's the loudest place that you could have sex in.
So they have unprotected sex. Aura's like, "You don't have AIDS, do you?" And he's like, "No, do you?" She's like, "No." And she's like, "You don't have herpes, do you?" And he's like, "No, do you?" And she's like, "No." And then he's like, "All right."
Yeah. And it's like, no asking of if she's on birth control. No. Like,
yeah, because he finishes inside of her.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a risky proposition.
Yeah.
So after they bang, Keith and her are walking down the street, and then he like pushes her behind a car. He's like, "Oh, fuck. I think that's my boy." Because he still has a girlfriend. He doesn't want to be seen with Aura. And she's like, "Did you really just push me behind a car so you wouldn't be seen with me?" And he's like, "I thought it was like a guy that I knew who knows that I have a girlfriend, and he knows my girlfriend, so that would have been bad." And she's like, "Well, I'd like to see you again soon." And he's like, "Oh, okay, see ya."
Well, he says no harm, no foul. No foul a lot.
Yeah.
Which I was just like, what is this guy? Is
This,
he the seed of Desi? Like, what is this?
90% of his lines are cliches. Because he says, same shit, different day a bunch.
Yeah.
Which Aura is like, I didn't know that was a phrase. I thought that you came up with that. But it seems like it's just like a thing that everyone says. Which is like calling him out on his unoriginality. It's like, how have you never heard that before?
And yeah, he is a problem.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's on pills. He's cheating on his girlfriend. Like, dude's not a good dude.
Yeah. And I'm wondering
fucks people in construction pipes.
The fact that he knew that that's where they were going to go was a problem. Like,
was that his place?
Yeah. Is that where he takes girls?
Let me take you on down to the old construction pipe.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he even showed up to that art thing. Like, if he shows up to her art exhibit thing, then he's definitely into her. Like, there's no, I still got a girlfriend. You don't go to this crappy thing and not even actually see her art.
Dude, some of the art that was in there was like some Booth Jonathan shit.
Oh yeah, I can't even say I fully paid attention to it. We skipped over one thing. There's a scene where she's recording another video.
Mm-hmm.
But and you think that's what she's gonna do, but she ends up presenting the fountain one again, because she has one where she's like reading something. or maybe
Yeah,
reading a
I
journal.
thought that she was reading her mom's journal.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to be the video, and then all of that was going to tie together. But
Nope.
I guess not.
Yeah, that video recording seemed to go nowhere and applied to nothing.
Yeah. And you know
Yeah.
what's interesting? It's one thing where it's not even like a commentary on, oh, she went to school for like film, what did she go? Film theory or whatever? Like
Filmmaking.
She filmmaking and film theory or whatever. But it's not even like a commentary of like, oh, what a waste of a degree that is, considering her mom is a really well-to-do artist, you know? So it's like, you can see that you can actually make a living, a really good living doing art. So it's not even like a different thing where parents are successful at like generic business, you know?
Yeah. So then after they depart, Keith and Aura, Hannah, Aura comes home and she has kind of a fight with her mom, who's like, where have you been? Blah, blah, blah. And then they apologize and make up. She climbs into bed with her mom and she tells her about the pipe sex. And the mom is like, shouldn't have done that. Then Aura's like, I've been reading your diaries. And the mom's like, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah. Like the mom does not care at all.
Yeah. And then they start to talk about like what life was like when her mom was Aura's age. And the mom is like, I was just trying to figure shit out just like you. And then that's basically the end of the movie.
Well, no, the movie, the actual ending is she tells her I can hear that clock. Can you take it out of the room?
Oh, yeah.
And then she takes it out of the room and she takes it down the hall. And then the mom says she can still hear it.
Yeah.
And then Aura's like, but it's not that bad, right? Or something. And then it ends.
I was very confused when it just like kind of ended.
Yeah, because it like goes away and then the ending. Like I haven't researched that. I haven't looked that up. I was hoping that you would have some insight onto what that clock ending was. Because my thought, like logistically, was like, how do you have a clock in your room for this long? And this is the first time it's bothered you.
Yeah,
but that's like a logistical thing, and I think this is more of a metaphorical, like, you know, thing. But I don't really get it. Oh,
I didn't either.
And there's a thing where the mom keeps trying to call her.
Yeah. Yeah, it said that there was like 200 messages.
Yeah, and then when she gets home, it's just like, oh, you didn't take out the trash, and my back was sore. And I was like, did someone die? Like, just movies that you've watched, like when someone keeps calling and you don't pick up, it's usually like a big emergency.
Yeah.
That happened or something. And it's not. It's just like, oh, where have you been?
Yeah.
I don't know.
My first reaction after seeing this was, this is what got her meetings with people? And then it also kind of inspired me to be like, I could fucking make a movie. Like, if this is like, because this got really, really good reviews, apparently. Like, this got an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a 72 on Metacritic. And like I'm reading some of the critical reviews, like agonizingly funny. I was like, what is agonizingly funny?
Agonizingly funny is a weird term.
Dude. And it won the narrative feature prize at South by Southwest Film Festival.
Mm-hmm. I could see this doing well at South by. I will say this. My thought was, I was like, this is a really interesting soundtrack for a movie. I thought the soundtrack was really interesting. And it's really well made. The cinematographer for this has gone on to do, he went on to do Girls. He did Manchester by the Sea. He's the guy, the cinematographer is the guy who is the bar back or whatever. And the guy that's sleeping in the restaurant, that's the guy who like is a DP, I believe, for this.
Okay.
And no, like it looks great. It like for a film for someone coming out of college, like it's got a lot of great production value. Like, and like I watched it on like the Criterion channels like release or whatever. So it's like I guess they probably Criterion channel usually does like restorations to films, but it looked great. And with this and with girls, it's always like the subject matter that's more of an issue than like the actual production quality. Yeah, and I don't love this movie. Yeah, I don't. It's not. I just don't think it's the movie for me personally. But I don't like. I don't know. I'm just like kind of. I've seen so much girls that like I'm not even like. I'm relating it to girls more than I'm like looking at it as a piece on its own. I can't like separate the two.
I think that in comparison with girls, I like girls so much better. Girls actually had some like funny moments, and it said something. Like I felt like this didn't really say anything, and nobody was likable. Like nobody.
Oh yeah, I do prefer. I do think girls is like the better evolution of this, which I mean it should be. It's nice that happened. Otherwise, it's like, oh, this is really great and girls sucks. Like it'd be like it would be a downward slide as opposed to upward. And I think I think with girls she had a way. I think it fit better for a TV show because she had more time and space to explore all of these ideas. And yeah, the biggest issue for me with this is like it's kind of hard to watch Hannah/Aura be just exactly the same whiny, entitled, like, oh, I can't find a light bulb, and the sister's just like, fix it, like, figure it out. And it's like, Mom, I can't do this. Like she just like whines to her mom about like everything. There was.
Did you like that running gag of it's in the white cabinet and there's like 100,000 white cabinets?
But you've also lived there. Like you have like you've lived there your whole life, presumably. Like you would know where something is, kind of, or know that everything's just kept in those closets because there's no other place. Did you understand that their room setup with the wall divider?
No, I didn't. Especially after Jed started sleeping there, and I was like, what's happening here? And like, is Nadine able to see them? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, I was like so confused. So there we get our Shoshana confused apartment layout.
This is very consistent amongst Lena Dunham
stories. I wrote down that Aura got a pretty person job when she became a hostess. Like Marnie does, true. But she's not an actual hostess that interacts with people. So
did you know that Lena Dunham used her parents' money to make the movie, and the reason why her family is so heavily in it, and like her friends, is because she didn't pay anybody?
Yeah, I mean that's how you would make a movie.
Yeah,
yeah, like if you I mean that's not even shocking. That's like, yeah.
And this surprised me is that the script was really tight. Apparently Lena Dunham was like very strict about like, no, you stay on script. There's no improv in this.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, okay.
I can see that. I don't think she was like that as much. Maybe she was with girls. I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive into that. But with that, like you have a writer's room with different people. With this, it's definitely like it's me writing this movie. And also, she got a lot of people in there that aren't really actors, like her sister, who I think is great in it, is not really an actor, and her mom is definitely not. I think she's. I thought
the mom was a fine actress. I thought it was fine.
But really, I just, I needed more.
I thought she just sucked.
No, for me it was the performance. Like when Hannah's yelling at her and she just has her hands crossed. And it just felt like, oh, that's the actor, like, not fully sure. Like, I don't know. Like, it just wasn't, there wasn't that, like, pushback that you want to see performance-wise. For me, at least. And I feel better knowing that she's not, like, I'm not, like, ripping someone that's gone on to, like, do, like, a great acting career or someone that's been aspiring to act. Like, she's not an actor. And it kind of comes across, at least to me.
Can I say on IMDb in the trivia section, there is a little piece of trivia that relates to us specifically, Vance. This is in the trivia section. And I quote, Keith talks about tentacle rape, which does exist in Japanese anime. Vance and I...
Yeah, I noted
Vance, that. Vance just guested on my other podcast, the Anime Movie Podcast, where we watched a movie called Wicked City, where there is a very graphic tentacle rape scene. And as soon as Keith started talking about that in the movie, I was like, oh, Vance, we're at this again.
Yeah. So if you want to hear more of our thoughts on that.
On tentacle rape, yeah. I even made a YouTube video about it, starring Vance and I and my podcast co-host, Kat Hamilton. So if you can see that video on the Anime Movie Podcast. Yeah, if you go to YouTube and just search the Anime Movie Podcast, it's called The Most Disturbing Scene in Wicked City. You'll be treated to some of the stuff that Keith was talking about.
And I'll say, Kat, your co-host, really does break down the history of where that tentacle porn stuff actually originated from and why it's in. In it.
Yeah, and why it's so popular in not just Japanese anime, but the world.
Yeah. To each their own.
Okay. All right. Did you have a favorite scene in this movie? I feel like we really kind of, I know we talked about for about 40, 45 minutes, but we kind of breezed through. What do you think was the point of this? What do you think was the message? What do you think were some highlights, got some lowlights?
I mean, it's kind of like what Girls is. It's just like, all right, this is just a snippet. And I was thinking about how she, like, if you're a girl at her age, like 22, 23 or whatever, you've run into a bunch of guys that are not good for you that you like hook up with, you know? And maybe that's what she's like pointing to. Because none of the guys are great. Like everyone's made that mistake of like, oh, maybe I can hang out with the Ray or the Jed character because Jed is YouTube popular kind of based off of his weird YouTube. I love seeing what YouTube and social media was. Like,
dude, I loved seeing those old YouTube like layout.
What is it called? It's like the Nishan cowboy, and he's just like sitting on like a rocking horse thing with a toy gun, spouting Nietzsche. Like, it's Ray 100%. Like in that moment, and then he's just like he's such a bullshitter, and he's talking about all these meetings he has to go to, and like that scene where he's like typing an email to a girl that was all on his jock, as he says. Like he's just the worst person.
He's such a douche, dude.
Oh, my least favorite, and I wrote down like, oh, Ray always can be homeless and find a home. Like that's
yeah.
But my least favorite scene of it, I know the question was my favorite scene. No.
We're really
my least
wheeling
favorite
and dealing here.
My least favorite Ray moment is when he comes in and Charlotte and Aura are sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm here." And Charlotte hates him right away, which again, respect. She was always she can call it out. And I was like, "Oh, they're gonna hook up." I'm happy I didn't call that, but I was like, they're probably gonna hook up. I've just seen so many movies where that starts out, and then I thought that was gonna be the split. And I love that about Lena Dunham. Movies and shows that the predictable stuff doesn't usually happen. Like that's like the low-hanging fruit. Ray would come there, Charlotte would not like him, Charlotte would then hook up with Ray, or would get really mad at Charlotte for doing it. You know, that's like low-hanging fruit, and it just never happens. But the point is, when Jed shows up and he's like, "Hey, any of you guys hungry?" And they're like, "No, we just ate." He's like, "Oh, like how long ago?" Like where he's just like begging for food. Like, and it's just so gross. After he was talking about, "Oh, I just had this meeting with this agent and this place." Yeah.
Do you think that he actually had meetings with agents, or do you think that was just a fucking lie?
I think it's a lie. I think he has like that, like, I think he's embellishing everything. Maybe
For
he
sure.
like went to some place to try to pitch an idea, but then he's like spinning it. We're like, oh, my agent called this person up and we're like going shopping around for 3 different places. You know, like he has a little level of like something. But yeah, he's a vagabond moocher.
He sucks.
Yeah, he's awful.
He sucks. He's such an asshole.
Yeah.
Like that scene where he's guilting her for something that like she had no control over. I was like, you're such a piece of shit, dude. Like, I fucking hated that.
I'll say this. I've made like the mistake of like inviting someone to stay at my place and not realizing that they were going to stay a little longer, and then having to deal with that awkwardness of having to like watch them go and walk away and just like, I don't know where they're going, but okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely an awkward thing, especially in that age, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we already talked about it. I think my favorite scene is when the hamster's dead. And he's like, Jed's like, I hate to be a downer here, but
I mean, it's a great decision not to cut to a close up there or to do coverage. It's all just a wide shot from a little further away. And it's a really good decision to not like go into coverage there.
I'm so glad that they didn't show a dead hamster.
Yeah, I didn't need close-ups of them looking down at it or whatever.
I have to say, I thought it was really weird to see Lena Dunham with long hair. I had just gotten used to her with short hair, and her hair looked horrible in this movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she did not try to make herself look flattering or like there's not they like skimp on the makeup and everything.
I was gonna say, it didn't seem like there was any makeup. Like you could see zits all over people's faces and imperfections and stuff.
Yeah,
it was brutal.
We have to talk about Lena Dunham's. It's really interesting how comfortable she is and uncomfortable with her body. You know what I mean? Like, it's always commentary about like her weight and her shape or whatever, but she's also has the confidence to like be mostly nude all the time.
Yeah.
or like half nude at least.
I'm gonna be honest. When I started this movie, I started watching it on my work laptop, and then like when it got to the light bulb scene and they're like going to bed, I was like, hold on a minute, I probably should not be watching this on my work laptop. I was like, I don't know if like knowing Lena Dunham, there's probably nudity happening some point. So I paused it, went over to my like personal computer to watch it, and literally the next scene is her walking around ass out. And I was like, thank God that I did not. Thank God.
I had that experience where I was at work and I was like, you know, I got some time. I'm going to try and watch this movie Dogtooth, about the director that did The Favorite and
is that the fucking documentary about some kind of Greek orphans?
It's not a documentary, but it's not a documentary, but it is a Greek movie, and it's like these people that live in a different space.
Dude, I remember sorry to go for it. I hooked up with this girl, and she was like, here's another one of Joe's fucking hooking up with a girl stories.
No one actually believes any of these are real, so go for
it. And like right after we hooked up, she was like, she literally said, would you like to watch a film? And I was like, sure. Like, what do you want to watch? And she was like, we should watch this.
Were you hooking up with the Joker or something? Like,
dude,
would you like to watch a film?
It was like so pretentious. And then she was like, I'd really like us to watch this film Dogtooth. And then she explained what it was about. And it was like Greek children that were molested or something. And I was like, no, I would not like to watch. Absolutely not.
It's a little disturbing, but it's really good. It's basically about these kids that were raised and their parents are basically doing an experiment on them and teaching them all the wrong things. They keep them like locked in the house, tell them not to go outside because you'll be attacked by these animals or monsters or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And
so it's kind of like
and
the
they're
Village?
like shielding them. Yeah, it's weirdly like they're shielding them from the world. Like if an airplane flies over, they'll toss a toy airplane into the yard to make it seem like that's the thing that fell out of the sky kind of thing, because they don't understand the world. And it's really, really weird. And I tried to watch it at work, and like early on something disturbing happened. I was like, nope, can't do this. But yeah, it's a good movie. It's weird though.
Yeah.
Oof. But yeah, with it's interesting because I didn't know watching it that was her actual mom. And I knew it was her sister. I don't know if this happens a lot with people, but are there a lot of people whose sisters will be in the bathroom while they're fully nude and shaving and having full-on conversations?
I don't know.
Because we get a lot of the girl shower
maybe.
scenes. Yeah, like this is like the Marnie and like the pilot of Girls. Like they're in the shower and like and Marnie's shaving her legs and Hannah's eating shower cupcakes. Like this seems like I don't know if this is like a common thing for people or this is just like a specific Dunham family thing.
I feel like there's something fucked up in the Dunham family.
It's just like, I don't know. Just like, and do they like, at what age do you not sleep with your mom in the bedroom?
Yeah. Like, cause there's a point where all three of them are sleeping in the same bed.
Yeah. And it's not done in like we're just hanging out and like, it's like that Sunday morning we all came in. It's like, oh no, we're sleeping in here tonight. Like this is where I'm sleeping.
Yeah. It was so
I don't know.
weird.
I just don't know. And I know you can't answer this question. So if anybody listening can write in and inform us. Yeah.
I found this movie to be so pretentious and not good. Like, I already don't like pretension, but it wasn't even like an interesting plot. It was like very slice of life type of thing, which I also don't like. And it just kind of felt like meandering and there was no growth or anything happening. Like, I hated it.
Yeah, it is one of those things where I didn't feel like at the end, after she has sex with the chef, that she's like, oh yeah, I figured things out. And that's what her throwing away the hamster in the freezer seemed like to be like a metaphor for like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm moving on. But I'm like, are you moving on? Like what?
Yeah. Because the next scene after she throws the hamster away is her telling Frankie that she's not going to move in with her and that she's going to stay at home.
Yeah.
And I was
which
what?
was such a like that was the point where it was like no coming back for me for that whole character. Because I'm like, dude, you just had this girl who was excited. You were talking with her. You ducked her phone calls. For like a week. And then just call her up.
She ducked everybody's phone calls.
Like, and she was erasing messages. Like,
yeah.
Like, and then she just says, oh, I can't do it. Oh, you'll be fine. You can do Craigslist. And you get your Craigslist, like, murder joke. But also it's just like, really? You really just waited till last minute to tell this girl who's moving to New York.
Vance. This movie, I don't know if you know this. This movie was agonizingly funny, Vance.
Like, I mean, that's just a character thing. Like, there's been movies where people are bad and like not great. Like, but I don't know. It's just like, I wish we could. And we brought this up a bunch of girls. I wish I could have felt more bad for Aura.
Yeah,
like I don't feel like she was forced into the Jed and Keith situation. She put herself in those situations, you know?
I felt bad when Keith was guilt tripping her. I was like, fuck you, Keith. Or Jed was guilt tripping her. Oh, yeah,
that
was like, fuck you.
And like
dude.
her
like,
apologizing it. Yeah, that was
was
some like expert level negging that he was doing.
Yeah, that was manipulation at its finest. But then like,
we got to talk about him reading the Woody Allen book that ages terribly today.
Yeah. I just don't know what to make of it.
This movie had so much sleeping in it. That's the one thing I noted. There is so much people in bed, people sleeping, people going to sleep.
Yeah.
People, like, it is. Yeah, I just noted that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. It is just a slice of life.
Yeah.
The title's cool, but the metaphor of tiny furniture isn't really.
Yeah, it was just like a girls episode. Like, why was it called Tiny Furniture? Like, I know that the mom did models of tiny furniture and she took photos of it, but it doesn't like play into the larger quote unquote plot of the movie.
Yeah, because I've always saw the poster, or where it's like her lying down in that like pink shirt and with all the little stuff around her.
Yeah, and it says, Aura would like you to know that she's having a very hard time. The fucking thing on the poster, there's a quote that says, near perfection. Near perfection, Vance. This movie. She spoke to some people through this. Like, I didn't like hate the movie, but I'm not a huge fan of it. That's what I'll say. Like, I will say it's like, wow, okay, this person made this is a solid looking movie for 2010 for someone her age coming out of college. Like, yeah, it was shot on.
This is the thing. This thing could have turned out so much worse.
Yeah,
but you don't want to give it points specifically on that. But looking back at it, I'm like, yeah.
Like, honestly, this gave me inspiration because, like, I own a camera and some nice lenses. This gave me an inspiration to be like, I could throw together a slice of life movie. If that's what it takes, I could fucking do that.
I would say do it, but also the market is completely different. In 2021,
yeah, I know. This is from 11 years ago. Vance, would you star in my movie? Would you be a character in my movie?
I'd have to see a script.
You wouldn't just sign up sight unseen?
No. Nope. That's how I end up on a podcast, Boys Watching Girls.
Oh God, dude.
Is there anything else?
Well, we already did comparisons to the characters in Girls. We could do likability rankings for the main characters. We don't have to do it for everybody. So we got Aura.
I know what I wanted to bring up. When she's asking her sister about losing her virginity and if she's ever had an orgasm. That's just like that doesn't even feel like that was like a made up scene. That feels like that's just something that she's done. Like they seem like they just had that conversation. Yeah, from the stuff she's written in her book and everything. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I also felt like Keith from the moment he came on screen. I was like, this dude looks like a rat, like a legit rat. Like that's a complete aside, and it has nothing to do with like the movie whatsoever. But he looks like a rat.
That actor was in Smash.
He was in Gossip Girl too, apparently.
Yeah. He's been floating around. Yeah.
And Alex Karpovsky, Jed, his posture was horrible, and that was really, you know, when you see somebody that has horrible posture and it makes you straighten up.
Yeah, that scene where he like meets up with her and he's like, "Oh, I'm out of money," and they were supposed to go to dinner, and he's like,
"I'm already late and I don't have any money."
Yeah, and he's like, the way that it is shot has that really old school New York feel, where it's like real close up, and he's like leaning into her, and he's kind of being charming and swarmy at the same time.
Yeah,
and I was just
his head is so far down.
Yeah.
It was like a turtle. Like, I didn't understand it.
I was intrigued to see. I was like, is this movie really going to be?
I'm trying to do it right now, and it's like it felt like his whole head was below his shoulders.
Like, I thought it was going to be interesting to see him playing a romantic lead throughout the whole movie, because that's where I was like, all right, he's broke, but he's going to be an okay person, maybe. And then like it goes where it goes. And then it's this chef guy who starts out as a jerk too. And you're just like, all right. like, I don't know.
Yeah, that scene where he meets up with her and is just such a manipulative cunt.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just shows up.
And she's like,
I just went to the ATM and it told me, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, he's like charming scumbag.
Yeah. And it's just like, and he's not even doing it in a way where you can like get away with stuff in New York, you know? Like, oh, let's go to a Mexican restaurant. I'm going to order a taco and we'll just eat all the free chips they give us, you know? Like some kind of way. Like, instead she's like, well, I live around the corner in this giant loft. And just like, and then he's like, oh, I got to stay in this place. And you know he's just saying it so that he'll guilt her into letting him stay. I don't know. Yeah. That's the only that's what I felt bad about her for. But then she manipulated her mom into letting him stay, so she's not good. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I get what you say. I get what you're saying when you're like the pretension is this person that's like she's completely complaining about like I'm young and I'm figuring things out, and it's fine. You can be, but you don't have to be a jerk about it.
Yeah, and like the obvious, like, oh, I'm reading this Woody Allen book, and like the chef is reading some other book, and everyone's talking about these authors and these philosophies, and it's just like,
well, that's just
what does this have to do?
How to read it.
Well, it's just like, what does this have to do with anything? It's not building their character. Like, it doesn't do anything for their character. It doesn't show you who they are.
I think Jed reading a Woody Allen book definitely does.
Because he's a creep.
No, he definitely would like. I mean, this is a character Ray that has like the Andy Kaufman like life size poster. But the Cormac McCarthy, the Road book. That's just kind of throwing in a little, hey, what are you reading? Classic thing that gets thrown into movies. And that seemed like it was trying to add a little depth to that character. But then as soon as he heard the word pills, he went crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we need to do likability rankings. I guess you start us off if you want to.
All right, likability rankings for me. Frankie's number one. She didn't do anything wrong. She got taken advantage of, basically.
Oh man,
fucking Aura left her out to dry, real hard.
I gotta say, everything I've seen her in, she gets a raw deal. She does, man.
I'm gonna say Charlotte's at number two because she gets her a job, but we see how entitled she is. But like, she doesn't actually actively do shitty things, so like, whatever. Nadine, number three, thought that she was kind of funny, but also a brat.
Oh my god, I loved when the mom was talking about her poetry.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I hate poetry.
Yeah.
It's the worst art form ever. Yeah.
Then Aura, because, she's kind of just like meandering around, but then she kind of fucks over Frankie. She makes some bad, stupid decisions. Yeah, the whole manipulation with her mom thing. Then I'd have the mom, who is just an anal butthole.
You have the mom lower than Aura.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'd put the mom above Aura.
Yeah, it's like she's
particular, but yeah, if you're gonna live under this roof, you gotta follow these rules.
Yeah. Well, there's that scene where she's like, "Do you even like living here?" And she's like, "What do you mean? I love living here." I'm like, that's such a weird thing to say. That's such a weird question.
Yeah, like a weird ultimatum.
Do you like living here? Like, it's not like someone in high school or someone who moved in. Like, it's a weird, for me, it just felt weird to say, do you like living here?
Yeah, but I also felt kind of like the mom was manipulating Aura and was like, the mom was a whiny fucking annoyance as well.
Yeah, I wanted more. I wanted more with the assistant. Because she disappeared halfway through the movie.
Yeah, just like Jed.
Yeah, well, Jed, we had to get him out of there. It was Keith's time to shine.
Right.
Yeah.
So then Aura after the mom. And then like I feel like the real battle here is between Jed and Keith for bottom.
I'm going Jed bottom. Just too.
You're going Jed bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keith, had sex with her and they might call. He's never gonna hook up. Like that wasn't going anywhere. I don't know.
I'm putting Jed above Keith. Because Jed, like, he was a manipulative cunt. But, like, Keith was cheating on his girlfriend, and when he saw someone, he, like, pushed Aura, like, behind the car to be like, I can't be seen with you. And, like, he was all about pills, and, like, the only reason he was trying to see her, and he stood her up.
My thing is, I'll put Keith lower because of all the warning signs that she was given, and she still pursued it because he was hot.
Yeah.
That's it, you know? Like, Jed manipulated her and stuff. And Jed was more emotionally traumatizing to her, you know? Like, he would just, like, play those emotional mind games. But Jed was like, hey, I got a girlfriend. Hey, I stood you up. Hey, I'm only using you for pills. Hey, I don't even care about your art. Like, hey, I'm going to bang you in this place. Hey, I have terrible catchphrases. It's like, if anything, Keith is like a learning tool for her. Like, you just put that in the mind bank and be like, oh yeah, person like this, do not engage again. Like, you know.
And below all of them, I'm gonna put Lena Dunham's hair. It was so bad. It was like fried. I don't know what happened to her hair, dude. Like, she looks so much better in Girls. I don't know. Maybe because they had like a makeup or a hair person, but
it's
like,
a glow up. It's a glow up.
Yeah, I mean, it looked terrible.
Yeah, and it seemed like it was done purposely that way too. Obviously, because it definitely changed styles throughout. Yeah, I don't. It definitely had the fashion thing from Girls. You definitely see some seeds of that, and they also have the names. Everybody has like these unique names, and I'm so happy they went with Hannah instead of Aura.
Yeah. Well, Keith is a kind of common name.
Keith is common, but then, and I guess Charlotte, Nadine.
Well,
the mom's name is Siri.
That was another pretentious thing as well, whereas like everybody has this like super crazy name. Like the mom's name is Siri. What?
Well, back then, that's just a name. It's like not a.
No, but I don't know anyone named Siri. Even now that Siri's a thing.
I think the actress that plays Natalia in Girls is a Siri. I think. I think. Maybe she's Sherry. Yeah, she's Sherry Appleby.
Okay, well, I've heard Shuri. But yeah, I mean, final verdict from Joey Boy over here. Very pretentious. Very pointless. Did not like. Sorry. Sorry, everybody.
You got to make that as your poster. Yeah. The same poster, just your quote.
Yes, very pretentious.
Did not like.
Very pointless. Did not like. Far from perfection.
Agonizingly. And then just ends.
Yeah, agonizing.
No, yeah, this movie's definitely not for everybody. I obviously I wouldn't have watched it if we weren't doing this podcast. If I've gone this far without watching it.
You know what?
But I do think it's unique to watch this after having seen Girls. Like, if I just watched this without having seen Girls or knowing anything about it, I would just be like, yeah, I would be kind of like you. Like, what is the point?
Yeah. Here's the thing is, like, I know that I didn't like it, and you said, like, this isn't for everybody. I would be curious to know and see the person who, like, loved this movie and just pick their brain and be like, why?
Mm-hmm.
What did you take from this?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm like, I appreciate, like, when I'm not enjoying something and someone else enjoys it, and then having the discussion about what they enjoyed. Maybe it might not make me enjoy the movie more, but I can like see their perception of it.
Yeah.
I think that happened a lot with One Man's Trash, where like people heard our take on it, and then other people had that positive view, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I can kind of see where they're coming from," but that's not going to make you like it any less, you know.
And any final thoughts here for Tiny Furniture?
Yeah, I mean,
I remember in the middle of the movie, I texted Vance, and I was like, "This is what got her talks with studios? Like, this is what got her greenlit for projects?"
well, if you make anything, that's one thing. If you make anything, there's a chance that you can get talks.
You'll have talks.
Yeah. Like people didn't like Clerks, and some people loved Clerks when Kevin Smith made that, and it hit Sundance or whatever, or Cannes. I forget which one. But no, I don't have any. I think we've really touched on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think we pretty well covered it.
Oh, they do rip on Bushwick, which is funny for them to end up having girls take place in like Greenpoint, Bushwick, Williamsburg.
Yeah, I mean, Bushwick now is like the place to be. Like, that's where all the artists live because nobody can live even within like 10 miles of Manhattan at this point.
And I'll say this, Tribeca, I've never been a huge fan of Tribeca. I haven't spent a ton of time there, but it's nice, but it's not like I would not want to live in Tribeca.
Yeah, I never really spent too much time there just because there wasn't a lot of comedy shit happening that I knew about there. Yeah,
and on the weekends, I don't know. It's like if you ever go down to like Wall Street or that area and like Tribeca's around there, like it is dead on the weekends and stuff. I had a job that was kind of by there, but like who hangs out by their job? Like I was very much Lower East Side kind of guy. Yep. East Side, Brooklyn. East Village, Lower East Side.
Yeah.
Alphabet City.
Yeah. That was my fucking spot. I loved that part of the city.
Yeah. No need to go above Union Square.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. Yep. That wraps it up for Tiny Furniture. If you liked Tiny Furniture, write us and tell us why.
Write in. This is the last call for Q&A questions for our special episode. I believe that's gonna come up next.
Yep. So thanks for watching. Email in or the DMs on Instagram at BoysWatchingGirlsPodcast. Vance posts a bunch of like funny clips and stuff. Well, not clips, but like jokes and memes and shit from girls on there. It's really great to follow. And rate and review us. Would really love some more of those bad boys. And we'll see you next time. Later.
Are you guys hungry?
Not hungry.
We just ate a little while ago.
You ate recently, or?
Are you hungry, or?
I am hungry.
Well, then you should get some food.